So unless you've been living under a rock in the automotive world, at least over the past week or so, Honda actually debuted the concept for the 2026 Honda Prelude at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And honestly, they did a hell of a job, at least from what we've seen right now. And in this video, I'm going to mainly look at a overview done by Car and Driver. I'll leave it linked down in the description below. But essentially, this new Prelude should be what we wanted the Prologue to be, not, like a mid-size SUV that they basically made it into. But starting off, one of the first things that we see is that it should have an estimated starting MSRP of around 31,000 US dollars. Honestly, I've driven a decent amount of new vehicles on the channel, and in today's automotive market in 2024, $31,000 is actually pretty damn competitive. So that is the first good news kind of right off the bat. And also, if you don't know the history of the Honda Prelude, essentially they stopped production for this model all the way back in 2001, and we haven't really seen it since. Now, this new concept that should be debuting, apparently it's only going to be offered overseas, unfortunately, so we won't get it in the US domestic market immediately. But if we do see success with sales in the UK and the rest of Europe, I guess if it's offered there, and in Japan, hopefully we eventually do see it be offered here in the United States. And staying on the topic of pricing, again, right now Car and Driver is essentially estimating it to be right around $31,000 for a starting MSRP for its base trim, and not exceeding the 30s when it comes to its different trims. Right now there's just two listed, but we've seen them kind of make mistakes, or I don't want to really say make mistakes, but there's very little info about this new Prelude out right now, so no one really knows how many trims there will be when it eventually reaches a production model. But they do estimate that even your top of the line Prelude should not exceed 40 grand. Now, moving on to the overall drivetrain of this new Prelude concept car, Car and Driver does actually cite the Accords numbers, and that makes a little over 200 horsepower, and it is a hybrid, and it also is mainly powered by a naturally aspirated 2-liter inline 4. So hopefully we kind of see that, I guess, in the Prelude, especially if it has a starting price of only $31,000. Now, yes, I do know I just said $31,000, like that's not a large amount of money, but again, in the 2024 market, like the current market for new models, that is a pretty damn competitive price. So I would not be surprised if they went ahead and came out with it in just a standard kind of naturally aspirated inline 4, most likely also being powered by some sort of hybrid system. And assuming that this Prelude does reach its production stage, its main competitor should definitely be like the GR86, like the ND Miata, things kind of like of that nature. And historically speaking, pretty much all of the Preludes of the past have come with a front-wheel drive drivetrain option only. There was never any all-wheel drive basically Preludes out there before, but actually clicking over into this article, it is actually confirmed. So scratch what I said before, but it is confirmed that the new Prelude will be a hybrid. So we very well possibly maybe wind up with an all-wheel drive new Prelude, and if not, it's, if not the entire model, then maybe like the higher trim would be all-wheel drive. I do like the very kind of horizontal headlights. Kind of reminds me of like the second generation of the Prelude. However, it is very slim, and with the front hood, how kind of like it just has that light bar that goes across, kind of reminds me of the third gen with the pop-up headlights. So I do really like the front, a little bit aggressive, very kind of GR86-esque. And then moving on to the rear, again, another feature that is kind of definitely like very reminiscent of the second generation, or like the Preludes in the 1980s, because the ones in the 1980s actually had a taillight that went all the way across the vehicle. This one, again, does have a more like kind of modernized LED light bar that would go all the way across with a bit of a more sportier wing. Overall, like the shape is kind of a little bit different from like the older Preludes. Here we can see a very, very good kind of comparison of the older Prelude versus what would be the new one. This one definitely probably more aerodynamic, more sleeker, more modern looking, whereas the older ones, again, they were very, very popular car in like the 80s and 90s. So back then, just that style, especially for a decent amount of your Japanese models, were a little bit more boxy and kind of sharper. So these body lines a little bit more smoother. Probably has to do with its aerodynamics. Considering that it's going to be a hybrid car, you know, they're kind of going to try to tackle like your entry performance car market while also having something that could be a very good daily driver. So I'm sure that, again, aerodynamics is probably extremely optimized. That's probably one of the biggest things that they were looking at when they designed this new concept car before actually debuting it at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, because aerodynamics definitely do play a crucial role in fuel economy and getting those, you know, MPG numbers pretty much as high as they possibly can be, especially with again, a 4-cylinder hybrid system. Makes a lot of sense. I kind of like what they did. We'll see what comes in the future. Today was a bit of a shorter video. I apologize for kind of like the lack of info, but you're not really going to find too much information for this new Prelude out there right now on the internet. Trust me, I tried to do my research. But for now, it's very, very far away from being a production model. But just let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, simply just about the design and kind of just the little bit of info and insight that we do have on the future powertrain for this new Prelude. And also let me know what you guys think that this kind of signifies for the future of Honda's culture. They've always had like their SI Civics, you know, Type R recently made a comeback. I say recently, it's probably been years now. I'll edit it in the screen right now. But, you know, Honda's always kind of, you know, focused on a lot of like their more compact performance vehicles being their flagships, being like their kind of title cars, if you will. So with this new Prelude coming back, do you think that in the future we will see even more of a shift when it comes to the Acura and Honda models and kind of going towards a more performance-oriented environment? Or will they kind of generally just stay the same and they said, screw it, it's time to make another model, let's bring back the Prelude? But if you stuck till the end of this video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe. As a smaller car channel on YouTube, it definitely helps me out a ton. I always do kind of automotive news videos. I mainly do actual car reviews, you know, where I'm driving and talking about more of specs of current production vehicles. Again, I apologize that this concept doesn't have a lot of info out at the moment. But yeah, if you guys like that sort of content, definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button, stick around, and stay tuned for some more future videos and hopefully new updates on this 2026, I guess, 2026 Honda Prelude in the future. But like always, I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.